So in the last class, we started introducing what is meant by triangulation, and we have discussed why do we go for triangulation over the traversing technique, which we have already learned in our course. And then we have subsequently said ultimate objective of triangulation is to prepare a proper control network, to get a proper control network. So once you have a proper control network, you can go on to identify the topographical conditions of any survey field that you are looking at, which is relatively small or big or whatever it is. So we can go on to find out the topographical information of that particular location. So accurately based on your triangulation control network which you are trying to prepare. So that is all what we have talked about in our last class, and towards the end of the discussion we have talked something about what is called as base extension. So in the case the area where you are trying to carry out your triangulation network, that area if it is big, so your length of the baseline what you are supposed to be exactly accurately measuring, so if you are having some difficulty because of some valley regions which is existing in between ridges or huge undulated profile in the ground if you come across with, so in such case what we said is, okay, instead of looking at directly finding out the exact linear measurement between 2 points, which we are calling it as our baseline measurement. Okay. So we said at least identify some particular area where the ground is relatively flat, mark 2 points on that particular ground, and find out the length of that 2 points what you are marking on a relatively flat ground. So which we are calling it as some baseline. And by knowing the exact dimension of that baseline, we went on to understand how to calculate the length of the exact baseline, what you were trying to look at between 2 points in that particular triangulation network. So that's all we have talked in our last class. Now in today's class, let us continue with where we have stopped our discussion. So why do we need to be talking about this triangulation? So which we have already said in the last class. So the purpose of triangulation is to have or is to prepare a proper control network for that particular area in which I am going to be carrying out your survey. Right now, by preparing a proper control network, now what kind of control network are we trying to prepare? So we are going to be looking at what is called as horizontal control network, and subsequently we'll also be coming across with what is called as your vertical control network. So it's not just only about in the horizontal plane we are trying to identify the salient features of that particular survey field. We are also going to be understanding based on your vertical angle measurements between one point to the other point, between which if you can measure your vertical angles, even in terms of the vertical plane, the elevations wise also we can try to understand how much is the elevation between one location to the other location, how much is the corresponding elevation difference, and so on. We can also try to understand. So that's how we say we are going to have what is called as a horizontal control network. Subsequently, we are going to be even talking about what is called as a vertical control. So understanding in terms of the elevation variation between points, are looking at one object here and relatively looking at another object which is at different elevations, maybe at a higher elevation or lower elevation. So that all we can try to get on to know from this triangulation. But however, when in general we talk about triangulation or traversing, these particular techniques are mostly adopted in preparing a control network with respect to that of a horizontal control. Okay, though with triangulation I can think of going for a vertical control by knowing the vertical angles and subsequently so on. But however, most of the times this triangulation networking control network what we prepare by triangulation is in the case of the preparation for horizontal control. So when it comes to vertical control, we talk about trigonometrical leveling and so on, different things which we'll be trying to come across. Okay. Let's say, for example, I have got some area in which I am trying to carry out my survey. In that area, if I can look at, I have got some roads like this. This is one road, okay, and let me just check for some other options. Yeah, I have some other road like this, maybe another road like this, maybe some other road like this. Like it could be a colony, or it could be something where we have got different road network existing. And in the process, we have also got some houses, maybe another house here. It could be a tree here existing, another tree here. Okay, maybe another house here. So we have got different information existing in that particular location. So our objective is ultimately to understand, to map the information of that particular survey field, prepare a map of that particular topography or the region in which you are carrying out your survey. So if I am required to prepare the map for that particular region in which I am carrying out my survey, so what we are trying to do is we are going to be so we are trying to prepare what is called as a triangulation network. So how do we prepare triangulation network? We said identify some particular triangulation stations, or we call it as control stations, which are intervisible to that extent if possible. In case if they are not intervisible also, we have got other alternative ways by which we make those stations intervisible, and accordingly we will continue our triangulation network. Okay, so for now, let's say, okay, here I have got one survey station, here is another survey station, maybe another survey station here. I'm just trying to mark some different survey stations to make my life simple in the process of preparing the network of triangles. Let's say this is survey station A, this is survey station B, this is another survey station, let's say survey station C. So this is a triangle what I have here. And from this survey station to this survey station, let's say this is survey station D, and from this to this I am connecting. And likewise, I have got, let's say, another survey station here, survey station E. So ultimately, I am just trying to develop a network for this complete area in the form of what is called as a triangulation. So this network, whatever we are trying to prepare by simple representation of triangles and so on, we are calling it as your triangulation network. So your so-called network, what we are going to be preparing, always may not be by means of only triangles what we see here. Okay, so we'll also be coming across different types of triangulation figures. So not just only in terms of simple triangle, it could be in terms of quadrilateral and so on, which we'll be trying to come across. So likewise, I am just trying to represent a network of triangles ultimately to give you a control network. Okay, so this is station G, H, maybe station I. Likewise, from here to here, I can have another station, station J. I am connecting the other intermediate stations like this. So what I have is now my control network, which I have prepared. With the help of this particular control network, as I discussed in the last class, we are going to take the offsets for various information that you have got in the field. So taking the offsets to your houses, taking the offsets to your cross section of the roads, taking the offsets to your maybe trees, taking the offsets to various other information that is existing in that particular field, which information you want to transfer it onto your map in the process of graphical representation. Okay, so identifying the information related to all that, we try to identify the positions of all those with respect to your control network, what you have defined there. The area in which you are trying to build this control network, or the area in which you are trying to carry out your survey, may not be a small area, as I told you. Like it could be sometimes in kilometers, it could be sometimes in meters. So this triangulation technique, it doesn't mean it is going to be applicable only for what is called as your geodetic surveys. So triangulation network is also applicable or suitable in the case of your planar surveys also. Okay, when we say planar survey, so planar survey also confines to that of an area which is even in hundreds of meters, maybe some 500 meters in this direction, 1 kilometer in this direction. So for that area, if I am trying to carry out my survey, so relatively we neglect the curvature of the earth, looking into the area what I am just trying to focus on. So if I neglect the curvature of the earth, then that particular survey we call it as your planar survey. Okay, so even in such case of planar surveys or geodetic surveys, you are going to make use of this triangulation technique in the preparation of your control network. So once you have a proper control network which you are going to be preparing, now how those survey stations are so-called station A, B, C, D, all these stations, whatever we have represented. Okay, so till station J, all these stations are what are they called as? They are nothing but they are called as your triangulation stations. And the different survey lines what are connecting your triangulation stations, we'll be calling them as your lines, maybe from station A to B or A to D or D to C or whatever the different survey lines that those lines which you have represented connecting different triangulation stations are nothing but I'll call them as control lines, or maybe I'll call them as your survey lines. And but with reference to the position of those survey lines, or with respect to the positions of the different survey stations or triangulation stations, I can go on to take the offsets. Okay, I can go on to take the offsets to locate the position of various houses, or take the offsets to locate the position of the cross section of your roads. Like at what distance, from which survey line, from which survey station you are trying to take the offset measurements. So once you know that all information, then in your map, okay, in the map what I am going to be preparing. So first what I'll be doing is, let's say this is my map in which I want to transfer all that information that I have measured in the field onto what is called as your graphical representation in the map by choosing an appropriate scale. Okay, so I have chosen an appropriate scale, and let me say I am going to be now drawing your control network. Okay, this is station A, this is station B. Let me just have an idea of how I have represented them, right? So somewhere here I had my station C, maybe somewhere here I have got my station D, and from here to here, and then we said from station A to station C. Don't worry about exact shape and so on. So I'm just roughly drawing something here. Let's not worry about what is that I have drawn, how is that I have drawn. So some rough sketch I'm just trying to draw, please don't mind that. Okay, roughly I have represented my control network. So once the control network is represented in your map, so how is that I am representing my control network? So in the field, exactly you might have measured the dimension of some line, so which we call it as a baseline. Let's say for example, my AB line is my baseline. Okay, so AB line which I have here is what I am calling it as my baseline. Why I am calling it as my baseline? Because the accurate length of that line AB is what I have measured in the field, and by making use of that baseline and subsequent angles whatever you have between different survey lines with respect to each of the survey station position. So we measure by making use of your theodolite instrument. We go on to measure all these angles between the different survey lines existing at survey stations, that's your triangulation stations. So once all these angles are measured with the help of the theodolite, then you can go on to make use of your sine rule or cosine rule, and I can go on to find out what is the length of each of the line represented in that control network. So AB line length is exactly known, and if I am looking at my triangle ABC, so in the triangle ABC, length of AB line is known, angle between line AB and line AC is known, angle between your line AB or BA and BC is known, angle between the line CA and CB is known. So by making use of those angles, I am going to calculate the lengths of the other unknown sides in that particular triangle. Okay, so I'll find out the length of line AC, length of line BC. Likewise, another triangle. If I am looking at triangle ACD, then already I know what is the length of line AC, which I'll be calling it as the known length dimension of one of the side of the triangle ACD, already the internal angle between the different survey lines in the triangle is known. Then I can go on to find out the lengths of the other lines, or the lengths of the other control lines existing in that particular triangle network. So likewise, I can go on to find out the lengths of all the other survey lines existing in this particular control network which I have represented. Okay, so when you are trying to carry out this control network, and when you are going to carry out your subsequent identification of various information that you have got in that particular survey field, like understanding the offsets data to locate the position of the houses, or maybe trees, or maybe any electrical poles, or any buildings, any roads, or any drainage network. So all that information you can try to collect with reference to any of the control line that you have represented in that control network, or by making use of any of the control station position. So whatever, you can go on to identify the positions of various aspects that you have in your field. And once that is understood, then you go on to prepare your map. So in the process of preparing the map, first we go on to represent your control network. Now, how do I prepare, or how do I represent my control network on your map? So I'm going to represent your control network on your map, because first I'll start marking station A and station B, because the length of that line AB is exactly known to me. So I'll try to mark the station A and station B position. Already, you know, these angles which you have measured with the help of this theodolite, and then you have the lengths of those respective lines are also known between each of the control stations which you have represented. So by those lengths, what you have determined from the base length, or by making use of the angles and subsequent representation. So ultimately, in the plan, in the map, you can go on to represent your control network. So once the control network is indicated in the map, then already by making use of the control network, so in that control network, you have got your triangulation stations, you have got your control lines. So with reference to control lines, or with respect to the triangulation stations, you might have taken the offsets of various objects to locate the positions of various objects. So along the line AB, you might have taken the offsets to locate the position of the boundary of that particular region. And along the survey line CD, you might have taken some offsets for locating the position of a house here. So all that information, I'm just trying to represent onto your map to exactly locate and figure out the position of that particular information, what you have identified, when measuring them in the field, and now subsequently transferring that information onto the map in the process of preparing what is called as the map of that particular topographical region. Can someone, whoever is talking, please mute your microphone. Okay, so that's how we transfer all the information, whatever you have measured in the field, in the proper form of graphical representation. You go on to indicate them, which we are calling it as the map of that particular region in which you have carried out your survey based on your triangulation network. So that so-called control network, what you have represented, is by simple means of your triangulation. So by the triangulation process, you are trying to identify and locate the positions of various information, whatever you had in the field, ultimately, which are being represented in your map. That's what we are going to be doing. And in the process of carrying out this work, whether my work which I have carried out is correct or not. I repeat, whether my work which I have carried out. So what is that work that I have carried out? From a baseline, by making use of your angles between different survey lines or control lines, we went on to find out the dimensions of various other control lines or survey lines existing in that control network. Okay, now whatever those dimensions that you have calculated, whether they are correct or wrong. Okay, from accurate measurement of the base length only, you went on to calculate the lengths of various other lines in that control network. But however, we do not know whether the calculations what you have done is correct or not, or something like that. So in such case, to minimize the error in your computations, what you can do is you can try to have some check lines in your control network. Earlier also we have talked about this check lines, the importance of a check line. Okay, what is the role of a check line? So whatever you are trying to calculate by making use of your sine and cosine rules, the dimensions of certain lines, let's say for example, yeah, so I am identifying a survey line going from station triangulation station E to G. Okay, so this E to G survey line, I am calling it as, let's say, my baseline. Oh, sorry, check line. Okay, so my yeah, E station is here. Yeah, EG line, for example, I am calling it as my check line, or we also call it as check baseline. Okay, so what is that? What is the use of that check baseline? Mathematically, I have calculated what is the length of that EG line, and subsequently in the field also, I might have located your triangulation station E, I might have located the position of triangulation station G. So I'll exactly measure the length between point E to G. Depending on the possibility, I'll try to exactly measure what is the distance between point E to G. And if I know the exact distance between the point E to G in the field, and I'll try to cross verify with what is that I have calculated, and if they are exactly same, then it means that your values what you are calculating in the form of the dimensions of other control network lines. Okay, so the dimensions of those control network lines, whatever you have calculated mathematically, is correct. In case if there is an error in the calculation, so you can go on to identify how much is that error, and whether that error what you have come across, is it affecting the complete control network, or is it localized only to that particular location where you might have done some mistake in the calculation, and so on. So you can go on to choose different check lines. Purpose of those check lines is only to check the accuracy of what is that you are calculating in the process of preparing your triangulation network, that so-called control network. And yeah, it's not just only in terms of this check lines. We are also going to be talking about some particular station somewhere in this control network. Maybe let's say, for example, with respect to a control station at D, for one line, I repeat, for one control line, I'll try to measure what is your bearing. I repeat, we try to measure what is the bearing. Bearing, how do we measure? So we understand what is my reference north direction. From the reference north direction, I'll try to go on to measure the bearing of, let's say, your line D. Okay, so bearing of line DE is what I'll just try to find out. Now, what is the purpose of determining the bearing of the line DE? So the purpose of finding out the bearing of line DE is to understand whatever that subsequent network what you are trying to represent, whether it is correct or not. So at intermediate places, if you can measure the bearings of some of those lines, then you can try to cross verify. How do I cross verify? Already you know the internal angles what is getting formed between different lines. So from internal angle, if you know the internal angle and subsequently the bearings of certain lines, then I can go on to find out the bearings of some other lines, and I can identify that other respective interior angles what you have calculated, they are correct or wrong, or the positions how you are marking those stations ultimately in the map, how you have transferred them into the map, whether they are correct or not. So that I can try to cross verify. Okay, so in order to understand any kind of error that is getting accumulated in the process of transferring the information from the field onto your map, so are we coming across with any errors? So that errors we are trying to check it for by with the help of what is called as check lines, or with respect to what is called as bearings of some certain lines what you are randomly measuring. Okay, so in order to ultimately know whether there are any errors that you have committed in the process of carrying out your work. Okay, and the station with respect to which, I repeat, the station with respect to which you are trying to take the bearings, you are trying to have some angle measurements done with respect to your azimuth in the sense the reference north. Okay, so from that reference north, if you are trying to measure some angle with respect to some line, so that station is what is called as Laplace station. Okay, so I have introduced a word what is called as Laplace station. Now what does this Laplace station mean? So it is that station. Which is that station in my case here? Station D is what I am calling it as Laplace station. Why is that I am calling it as Laplace station? So that is that station where from the reference north I have measured what is the bearing of some particular line. So why is that I am doing? Just to have a check or to understand the accuracy of that control network, what I went on to represent. Okay, so now the purpose of this triangulation is not just only for preparing what is called as the control network. Okay, so the purpose of this triangulation is also for setting out your work. Okay, one objective of triangulation is to prepare a proper control network, and by making use of that proper control network, you can go on to prepare the maps of the complete area in which you are trying to carry out your survey. That area could be the complete district, complete state, complete country itself. Okay, so depending on what area you are trying to carry out your survey, so that area for which we are going to be preparing the triangulation network, that's which we are calling it as your control network. So that is one of the objective of your triangulation. The other objective of triangulation is also for setting out your works. What do I mean by setting out the work? Okay, so the other purpose of triangulation is for setting out the work. Now, what do I mean by setting out the work? Let's say, for example, I have some hilly region like this. The ground is something like this. Yeah. Now, through this hilly region, I am required to construct a tunnel. Tunnel, whatever I am going to be constructing, could be for the purpose of a roadway, or for the purpose of a railway, or for the purpose of a canal construction, whatever it could be. Ultimately, I just want to make a tunnel construction for that particular region. So in the plan, if I am looking at that region, let's say in the plan, this is that area what I am trying to talk about, where I have got some hill here, which I am understanding in the form of represented contours. RL, when I say it's a hill, obviously the contour value of the line which is inside the loop will have higher RL value. Let's say the RL value of this is some 100 meters. As you go on outside, it decreases 95 meters, 90 meters, 85 meters, and so on, let's say. Okay, this is what I am indicating in the plan for that region, represented in the form of contour map. Now, let's say this is the inlet in the sense that is the point from where I want to start my tunnel construction, and this is the point where I want to come out of my tunnel construction. I know the entry point where I want to enter, and I understood what is the point from where I have to come out. Sir, why should I go for the construction of a tunnel? Why not we go in this direction to move from your point A to point B? If I want to travel from point A to point B, why do I need to make a tunnel? Why can't we go across to travel from point A to point B? Is it not possible? Yeah, it could be possible in some cases, but it could not be possible in all the cases. Sometimes what happens, if you are required to travel across that hill or that region, you might be required to travel an additional distance of some kilometers, which you don't want that. Okay, and sometimes there you might not have any other possible way by which you can go across from point A to point B. So ultimate objective or the decision that you are going to be making there is, yes, in order to travel from point A to point B, looking into economical aspects, looking into all the other aspects in future perspective, you are required to make a tunnel. Now in the process, if I need to make a tunnel, to travel from point A to point B. I understood where is my point where I should start my tunnel, and I understood where is that point where I should end my tunnel. Point of entry and point of exit. I understood regarding my tunnel. Looking into the topographical plan of that region. So I just thought, okay, this is how the orientation of my tunnel should be. I repeat, that's the direction from point A to point B. Let me use some highlighter so that we'll be able to understand what I am referring to. Yeah. So this is the direction in which I want to construct my tunnel to move from point A to point B. Now, in the process of constructing the tunnel, how do we start our work? Start our work in the sense, okay, I know from point A the tunnel construction should start. Now, in the process of constructing the tunnel, do we start digging the soil from the bottom, whether only from point A? Or do we start simultaneously the excavation process in the construction of the tunnel, the so-called excavation process of the work? It could be the earthen material or rocky strata, whatever you encounter, you have to excavate it. You have to remove it. So in the process of removing it, some set of people starts working from point A, some set of people starts working from point B. Both of them should converge at some point. If one is traveling in this direction, if the other is traveling in this direction, then do you get a tunnel? You don't get a proper tunnel. So what we should understand is, as a surveyor, if I want to start my work from this point, if I am starting the work from the other point, I should move towards each other and get intersected at some location, and then I get some opening which is made inside, which we are calling it as your tunnel. Okay, so how do I do that? How do I set myself, okay, this is the correct direction? Because once you start excavating the material, you don't have, or you don't understand where is that point B as you move inside, because there is no visibility inside. Once you get in, if you start carrying out your excavation, you don't see where is your point B. From outside, yes, you might have a possibility of locating, okay, this is the position of point A, this is the position of point B. But as you start continuing your excavation, you don't know whether you are exactly going from point A to point B or point A to some other point. In the same way, you don't know whether you are going from point B to point A for carrying out the excavation, or you are going from point B to some other direction. So in such case, this so-called control network is going to be helpful for us in setting out your work. What is my work? Construction of the tunnel. So in exact marking and carrying out the excavation for the construction of the tunnel, this so-called triangulation network is relatively going to be helpful. So how do we construct the tunnel means, so from one direction we start excavating the soil, and from the other direction we start excavating the soil, and people coming from this side, people coming from this side, both has to be intersecting at one particular place, which gives you a passage like this, which we are calling it as your tunnel. Okay. So sometimes it would also be difficult, like in the process of excavating the soil, should I excavate the soil relatively little deeper, or what is it? All that nuisance would be there. So for avoiding that, sometimes even in okay, just a minute. So we make what is called as shafts. Shaft is nothing but it's a vertical excavation what you are trying to carry out. Now, if I need to make those shafts, what is the purpose of preparing the shaft? So it's not just only starting from one point and coming from the other point and they converge each other. So even in between, to fasten the process of your so-called construction of the tunnel, so in between some regions also you can try to make some vertical excavation into the ground, reach to that particular depth, and after reaching to that particular depth, you can start continuing your excavation process on either side, so that you can reach towards your point A, you can reach towards your point B, to fasten the process of your construction of the tunnel work there. Okay, so after reaching here, you can travel in this direction, you can travel in this direction to continue your process of excavation. This is nothing but your shaft. Now, how exactly I should know where should I construct that shaft, or where should I make that shaft? To what depth I should be going in the excavation of soil through that particular shaft? So, should I excavate only till here? Should I go on to excavate till here? How do I know that? So, that all we are going to understand with a proper control network, which is going to be prepared for that particular region. So, by making use of that proper control network, we will try to identify the position of the shaft where it is to be constructed, and once we identify the position of the shaft with the help of the triangulation stations and with the help of your control lines, what you have represented in that control network, you can go on to exactly figure out the position where you are required to go for a shaft, and to what depth I should go for that excavation to be carried out in that shaft region also. We are going to be understanding by what is called as knowing the RL values, because we have the contour information regarding that particular location. Let's say, for example, the shaft which is to be digged is at this particular location. Let's say this is some point C. So where your shaft is to be created. So we identify the position of this point C with respect to a proper control network which is prepared for this location. Let's say, for example, let me draw some rough indication of the control network here. This is point A. So this is another control station. Let's say this is some other control station. From B to C, I have some triangular network represented. Likewise, I am just trying to roughly indicate something. And don't take me that, okay, it should be like that only. So I am just roughly indicating something. According to our convenience, I am going to be drawing your control network. Okay, so I prepared my control network for that particular region. Now, what I just want to understand is where is the position where I should make your shaft. So for that, what I'll just try to do is maybe from survey station B, I'll just try to measure at what angle this shaft is to be constructed. Okay, and maybe with respect to, yeah, I should have used some other notation here. Let me say this is some C dash point where the shaft is being constructed. You are making an vertical excavation into the hilly region. And from station C to station C dash, I'll just bisect it and I'll just try to understand what is this angle here. And with the position of station B to station C dash, when I have bisected, I have measured some angle, let's say some angle here. Okay, and once we know this angle, then in your exact location also, we will be able to understand, yes, along that particular line, that so-called C dash position is at so and so, and then from that particular location, I should make your vertical cutting into the ground, into that hilly region. Okay, so we go on to make that vertical cutting into the ground. Until what depth I should be going on to make that vertical cutting into the ground? Let's say, for example, this is the point A for which I know the RL value. This is the point B for which I know the RL value. So we try to connect the RL of point A and point B with a proper slope. Let's say, for example, some constant slope is what you want to maintain for that tunnel to move from point A to point B. So if a constant slope is to be prepared for that particular region. Okay, so first we will try to understand that from point A to point C dash, whatever I am marking, so what is that distance? That how do I know? So from the triangle, whatever I have marked between A, B and C dash, or A, C and C dash, I can go on to find out the length between point A to C dash. AC dash length I can try to find out. So once the AC dash length is known, and if I can find out what is the RL value of that C dash point, which is there on that hilly region, because the contour map for that region is known, or maybe the RL values of that C dash point by whatever technique you have determined it, by leveling process or whatever. So once the RL value of C dash is known, for this much horizontal distance when you are traveling, for that so and so slope to be existing along the tunnel, what should be the depth of excavation that I should carry out at C dash point is what we'll try to understand. Because C dash point RL is known. Now this particular point, maybe C double dash, what I am looking at, which I should reach to connect to your tunnel path, what I am just trying to go on to prepare. Okay, so C dash point RL is what we'll try to calculate. So how do I calculate the RL of C dash point? So if I know the RL of C dash, if I want to calculate the RL of C double dash point, RL of C double dash point is nothing but RL of C dash point minus the depth of excavation which I should carry out. And how do I get the RL of C dash point? Okay, so RL of point B is varying by so and so when the distance from point A to point B is something, let's say distance from point A to point B is something X, the horizontal distance. For that horizontal distance of X from point A to point B, let's say the variation of vertical distance between point A to point B, that's a variation in the RL values of point A and point B, something Y. So for that variation of YRL from point A to point B, if I know that, then subsequently when I am trying to travel a distance of x1 to move from point A to point something C double dash, which I have marked in the plan. Okay, in the elevation, so the projection of C dash point onto that horizontal surface is nothing but we are calling it as here C double dash point. So A to C double dash point, if the distance is x1, then what is the corresponding variation in the RL value with that same constant slope what you are trying to provide. So then I can understand what becomes your RL value of C double dash by making use of the RL value of point A or making use of your RL value of point B. Once the RL value of C double dash is known, RL value of C dash is known, then what is the depth of excavation between C dash to C double dash? It's the difference in their RL values. Okay, so that's how we know like how much is the depth of excavation that I should be carrying out in that particular shaft to reach to some location which is said to be an appropriate depth from where I can continue my excavation to complete your tunnel work by moving in the other directions to reach to your point A in one direction, to reach to your point B in one direction, to completely continue the process of excavation. Okay, so ultimate objective of the discussion here is the triangulation, whatever we are trying to talk about, the purpose of triangulation is not just only to prepare your control network, it is also useful for setting out the works. So that's the other objective of your triangulation process. Okay, so when you are trying to prepare your triangulation, so how are we carrying out your work? So first we carry out the way how you are preparing the control network, or the way how you are carrying out your preparation of the plan for a particular region in which you are trying to carry out your survey. So what we are doing there is we are working from whole to part. What does that we mean by working from whole to part? First, we identify what is our control network. Okay, let's say for example, station A, station B, station C, station D, station E, station F, station G, station H, station I, station J. This is my control network. Okay, so first we are establishing our control network. And after establishing the control network, then we are going on to identify each and every individual information in that particular location. Individual information in the sense, identifying the location of a house, identifying the location of a tree, identifying the location of how the road is going here, how the road is going in the other direction. So all that information we are trying to find out after building up your control network. So preparing that control network is what we call it as working from whole. Yes, overall, I prepared my control network. Then I am reaching out to figure out the position of various information that is existing. That is what is called as from whole to the part. For individual things, you are trying to reach out to understand the position of them exactly in the field, and subsequently which can be transferred to be represented in your map. So what we are doing even here in this triangulation is to prepare a control network to work from what is called as whole to part. That is obviously your principle of surveying. So what we do is we go on to work from whole to subsequent each and every individual part of that particular field to identify and locate the position of various aspects existing in that particular survey field. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what is this ultimate purpose of the triangulation means. So the ultimate purpose of triangulation is to prepare what is called as a proper control network for carrying out a horizontal control and for a vertical control. Okay, but most effectively in general, the triangulation is what is widely used for what is called as a horizontal control. Okay, and the other purpose of your triangulation is also for setting out the work. For example, like this construction of a tunnel, if I want to make. So how exactly I am required to go in the construction of your tunnel? So it's not just that somebody starts from here and reach out to some other point somewhere on the other side. So you will exactly know where to start and where to end. So in the process of reaching from the starting to the end, you are required to travel ultimately from the correct point to the correct destination. So how do we travel to prepare your tunnel? And this is a classical example, one of that example, which relates to understanding of setting out the work based on this triangulation network. Okay, so let's understand certain points in the form of summarization to whatever we have talked about. So in this triangulation process, for measuring the accuracy of the work, we are going to be understanding by finding out some dimensions of certain lines in that control network. So which we call it as your subsidiary basis, or which I can also call it as your check basis. Subsidiary in the sense some intermediate. Okay, so at some check basis, you are trying to measure some lengths of the lines exactly in the field, how much it is, and how much you have got from the calculated value. So difference we'll try to understand from what is measured and what is calculated to understand how much is the error that is getting accumulated in the process of preparing that network, or in the process of representing that network in your map. So by making use of your check lines or check base lines, we can go on to identify the amount of error, and then subsequently we can go on to eliminate that particular error based on various techniques that are available. So not just by only your check baselines, we also said we are going to find out the bearings of certain lines existing in that control network with reference to what is called as an azimuth. That's your magnetic north. From the magnetic north, we try to measure the bearings of some lines existing in that control network to identify and understand how much is the deviation in your represented control network in the preparation of your map. And that particular triangulation station with respect to which you are measuring the bearing of any line, that survey station or that triangulation station is what is called as Laplace station. So what is the purpose of triangulation? So the purpose of triangulation is to accurately prepare what is called as a control network for both planar and geodetic surveys what you are trying to carry out for either small areas or relatively for your large areas, and also to establish the accurate control points for photogrammetric surveys, and not only just for preparation of your control network, even also to set out your works. So accurate location of your engineering works which you are required to be carrying out in the field. Okay, so like example of your tunneling and so on. So in the setting out operations also, this triangulation is going to be helpful for us. So the survey, whatever we are going to be carrying out for establishment of controls, this so-called triangulation network or triangulation is nothing but we said the purpose of the triangulation is to prepare what is called as a control network. So that control network, what we are going to be preparing, or any kind of survey that we are going to be carrying out in the field, is ultimately to establish a proper control network. It could be triangulation, it could be traversing, it could be anything else. Ultimate objective of that is to prepare a proper control network. Now that control network is either for defining the position of your various salient features in that horizontal plane, which we call it as a horizontal control, or for identifying the position of various things in your vertical plane, that is what we call it as your vertical control. Now how do we carry out this horizontal control, or how do we get this horizontal control prepared, or how do we get this vertical control prepared? Horizontal control in the sense knowing the horizontal position of various things from some reference, knowing the vertical position of various things from some point of reference. That's what we call it as vertical control. So we go on to prepare a horizontal control either by triangulation technique, or by what is called as trilateration technique, or by traversing technique, or by astronomical positioning, like based on what is called as your angular measurements and subsequent technique, or by what is called as your GPS, that's your global positioning system. Based on that also you can go on to look at the position of various information, and then subsequently you can prepare a control between those points in that horizontal plane, which you call it as horizontal control. And by making use of your geodetic leveling, where you take into consideration of your curvature, so which will be helpful for identifying the relative change in position of points in the vertical plane, or by what is called as your trigonometrical leveling, or by barometric leveling. So we have talked about this trigonometrical leveling, what does it mean, barometric leveling, what does it mean, and so on earlier when we were discussing your leveling concept. Okay, so by simple trigonometric functions, if I know what is the elevation of this point, and if I try to find out the elevation of some other point, so what we do is, with the help of your theodolite instrument, I can go on to measure the vertical angle which is existing relatively between these two positions of the points. And once the vertical angle between these two positions of the points is known, then I can go on to find out what is the elevation of this other point with reference to the elevation known for this particular point. So that's all we can try to do that. And in the case of barometric leveling, we said depending on the pressure difference, atmospheric pressure difference, we'll try to identify the position, or we'll try to understand what is the corresponding elevation of various points with respect to which you are trying to measure your atmospheric pressure. And based on that atmospheric pressure value, we go on to find out the RL values of those respective points, or the elevations of those respective points, what you are referring. Okay, so that is all what we call it as your vertical control. So in the case of vertical control, you are trying to locate the positioning of various points in the vertical plane, so which refers to that of the elevations determination and so on. So in this triangulation topic, we'll mostly focus with respect to what is called as your horizontal control. But however, with respect to the triangulation station positions, what we have talked about, station A, station B, station C, it's not just only the horizontal angle between the survey lines. If I measure the vertical angles also, then I can also go on to represent your vertical control, because at station A, if I know the coordinates of X, Y, Z, at station B, if I know the coordinates of X, Y, Z, at station C, if I know the coordinates of X, Y, Z, and so on, that X, Y coordinates, if I say X is this direction, Y is this direction, that XY coordinates are going to be helping you in figuring out what is called as your representation of various information in this horizontal plane. And that XZ information or YZ information is going to be helping you in figuring out the position of the various building, what is the height, tree, what is the height, what is the relative change in position of those different points. So all that information I can understand by knowing what is the variation in the vertical dimensions. That's the z coordinate. How is it varying from one point to the other point? How do I get that? If I know your vertical angles. So if I know the vertical angles, then I can go on to identify how much is the elevation difference between different points. Okay, so that's how you go on to prepare what is called as your vertical control. Okay, right. So let's quickly look at what does this horizontal control means. So it's nothing but your representation of your control network with reference to a horizontal plane to locate the position of various aspects or the information related to that particular survey field. So how do we do that? As like I mentioned, either by traversing technique or by triangulation technique or trilateration technique or by astronomical positioning or by GPS. So various ways by which you can prepare that horizontal control. So what is that we are looking at in this particular topic discussion is with respect to your triangulation, how that horizontal control network is prepared and so on. Now, when you are trying to talk about this triangulation, the layout of triangulation, what does this layout of triangulation mean? It's nothing but it's the arrangement of the various triangles of a triangulation series. So what does this arrangement of various triangle means? Let's say this is one triangulation station, station A. This is another triangulation station, station B. And I've got another triangulation station, station C. So this is one triangulation network. So now another triangulation network, another triangulation network. Now, how should I represent that triangulation network? One triangle connected to the other triangle, another triangle, and so on. So that arrangement of various triangles of a triangulation series, okay, in that network of triangulation, network of triangles, how we are going to be arranging them, that is what we call it as layout of triangulation. Now, how do we prepare the layout of your triangulation for that particular region means for that region in which you are carrying out your survey? So the layout of the triangulation is done by three different ways. One is by simple triangles in the form of a chain. So what is that simple triangles in the form of a chain means? I'll just show you in the next couple of slides. And another one is by making use of what is called as braced quadrilaterals. Okay, so those quadrilaterals, quadrilateral shapes we are going to be having one adjacent to the next, next to next, next to next, and so on. Other way of doing it is by centered triangles and polygons. So otherwise, the centered triangles and polygons is also called as centered figure. So based on what is called as centered figure, you are going to be preparing the layout of the triangulation for that particular area. Okay. So we'll stop our discussion and we'll continue our discussion in our next class.